Hello everyone, I am Vadivel Shanmugam, product architect of real-time payments and digital transaction banking. Today I am going to talk about scalable architecture for processing UPI real-time transactions using distributed SQL. Let me give some brief introduction to UPI platform and subsequently talk about technical challenges that we face on on-prem systems and reason for choosing cloud scale DB like YugabyteDB. UPI platform is launched in India 2016. From the launch to till date, we have seen phenomenal growth in terms of volume. And as we speak today, we have seen that the platform has processed 4.6 billion transactions in the month of February 2022. We wonder what convenience made to people to adopt these payment methods. Let me take a P2P journey or person-to-person transfer journey. Prior to this UPI platform, if any person wants to transfer to another person, obviously he has to visit to internet banking or mobile banking or bank branch. Also, the person has to carry the account number, bank branch details, and SWIFT code, and so on and so. And this takes very longer time, and it's bit complex process as well, and it time-consuming activities as well. After launch of UPI, the person simply has to pick up the phone and enter the virtual payment address of the beneficiary and amount details, and that's all. It's a single click. The beneficiary receives funds within 2 to 3 seconds. So this is magic, right? Where also this platform, available 24/7 and throughout the year. It's not like other payments, RTGs, NFT, where we have a cutoff and so on. So okay. Also, there are various other factors also contributed to grow the volumes like demonetizations, GST payments, and pandemic like COVID. In fact, pandemic like COVID is pushed people to go for cashless transactions, and that's been reached to even remote villages actually. Also, this volume growth perspective, the larger PSPs also played a major role, like Google Pay, Phone Pay, Paytm, and so on. So, where they offered so much of intensives and offers and to bring the customers into this platform. Also, these larger players played a good role to reach out to apart from tier 1, tier 2 cities, remote villages as well. And obviously the UPI platform supported, apart from smartphones, even featured phone it supports, so that the adaptation in the remote village also made easy. Also, I wonder when last I visited to ATM to withdraw the cash, because before UPI I used to visit ATM at least 4 to 5 times in a month to withdraw the cash. And after UPI, I hardly take my wallet or cards, and the acceptance of the UPI payments from the street, any street vendor to any large entities are very much, increased. So that's the reason I even don't carry the ATM card or cash, and all I take it up with me is only mobile phone. The tea vendor or even vegetable shops accept the QR, the UPI payments, and like in travel perspective, auto or taxi, people are accepting this actually. So that's the real magic of UPI, where every vendor, every merchants are larger entities accepting these payments. Also, when it comes about talks about the P2M transactions, the P2M transaction contributes about 40+% of the volume in the overall. And the reason for adopting this P2M transaction by the merchants are like, the banks provides a frequent settlement in within a day, and that makes so convenience for the small vendors. Also, the platform provides low MDR rates comparing to any other payment methods. That's another precise reasons where the merchants are start accepting these payments, and they have more convenience. As when they need, they can sweep out the fund from UPI to their wallet systems or their account systems. Also, let me talk about mandate management which is being offered by the UPI. This mandate management supports one-time mandate as well as a recurring mandate. One-time mandate is effectively used by IPO, where initial public offer perspective, the public investors uses this UPI as a payment methods for IPO offerings. Okay, so now we talked about the UPIs and what are advantages MindGate can bring for this growth actually. MindGate being tech provider and leading banks in India, for the leading banks in India, we process more than 50% transaction in the financial year 2021. Also, we have complete merchant acquiring platform, which includes merchant management, recon and settlement, and dispute management. Also, we have API stacks for all the needs for corporates and P2P, PSP angles as well. So those are the key advantages that we bring from MindGate for the banks in India. Okay. Next, digital payments. India is equally launched is Bharat Bill Payment System, and the Bharat Bill Payment System supports various utility bill payments starting from insurance, taxes, education, so on so. And all this bill payment system enables payment through UPI is in a major added advantage. If you look at the statistics, in financial year 20, we have seen 1 billion transaction is processed using through BBS systems, and obviously this increases the real-time payments adoptions as well. Okay, in the corporate transaction banking system, the corporates also looking to adapt the real-time payment systems for various collections and payment disbursements perspective. They're also working like complex use cases, so on. So one of the use cases is the invoice in the bill, invoice in the box, basically, where the corporate can present the invoice to their payers, and which is reaches via UPI payment system, and the payer can view the invoice details and then make the payment. That's a convenience. One of the convenience is brought by UPI, and however, every corporate is innovating their own use cases in a complex manner to adapt this digital payments. Now we have seen this, the convenience of the UPI payments and then various options. Let me also talk about the statistics that we have processed the transaction. So if you look at this graph, in the first 4 years, the platform started with 15 million transactions, and today as we speak, it reaches to 4.6 billion transactions is what processed. Also, if you look at the graph in March 2020 or February 2020, where the COVID or pandemic started, that's a very peak time, and the platform was processing approx 1 billion transactions. From that point to 2022 February, you can see the steep growth in the volume, and it's grown phenomenally actually. That's one of the evidence that the platform is adapted by people in India from all part of the regions basically. By looking this volume, and the projected volume is expected 1 billion transactions per day by looking at the current trend. Also, let me give some statistics about MindGate. MindGate UPI transactions platform processed 15 billion transactions in terms of beneficiary banks in the year 2021, and about 20 billion transactions in terms of remitter banks. This is approximately 3.5x more transactions compared to the next closest competitor. This is the volume we process in the UPI platform, and that's a scale is what we grown. All right. So far we discussed about UPI payments and its convenience, and let me walk through how we manage to keep on engineered for volume growth we have seen in the past, and also the platform we are looking which is a cloud scalable platform. Basically, when we started the platform, it was obviously the monolithic applications where all the components like UPI switch, settlement and reconciliation system, and all other components are in a single box as a monolithic applications. Then obviously the database as well as the single database layer. Then as we when grown in the past, so we started splitting this application into multiple boxes where OLTP transaction system, we kept it in one of the box, and you reconciliation and settlement perspective we brought into another box. There was a challenges that we need to replicate data from OLTP to reconciliation settlement and dispute management system perspective, that we used legacy data replication methodologies, so that the both application is completely segregated and keeps running. That's in a second level of redesigning we did to cater the volume growth at that point in time. Later, more and more we seen that volume growth. Then later we also did another design change within the database layer, where we splitted the financial and non-financial transactions are separated in the data layer as well as the application layer. The reason behind to split these two components is that the non-financial also contributes equally higher volume to financial transactions. That's a precise reason to to keep two different databases for financial and non-financial as well as the applications layer. So this sustained this architecture sustained with a certain limit. Later we understand that this is not sufficient to handle the volumes. Then we started rebuild the complete platform in microservices stack. Now the platform is completely in 2020. Basically we built a microservice platform, and this platform is completely logically created different microservices, and we can scale it up based on the loads and peak volume surges basically. However, even though the platform is ready with the microservices architecture, and data layer is still is a kind of monolithic with the different databases for financial, non-financial, or larger PSPs. Also, we in fact segregated to the different database, but it doesn't solve the problem of real scale aspect actually. So that's where we are here today, that we are re-architecting the platform which can scale it truly scalable in a cloud based architecture, as well as compatible with the on-prem perspectives. Okay, so let me go through there are six design aspects we kept in mind to start designing the platform which can truly scalable for volume of growth we are seeing in the UPI platform. So the following are the key factors to achieve the high success rate and quicker response for every transactions to handle the volume growth. The first point is that for every end user actions, the platform has to respond properly and quickly in order to engage the user for accessing the real-time payments platform frequently. Next, also the design should consider properly architecting every logical component and data layer using distributed SQL to serve the request within stipulated time. Then the volume growth also should not affect the success rate of 99% and response time within 1 second in the server. These are the key factor is considered in order to respond the user for every user actions perspective for higher engagement aspect. Next point, cloud enabled for autoscale. The proposed architecture should also be capable to deploy in any cloud platform like Azure, GCP, or on-prem Kubernetes platform. This capability enables to scale the platform horizontally as when required for both application layer as well as the database layer. That's a key design consideration for this. Next comes high availability of application and infrastructure. Yes, there are peak loads of transaction that takes in place on certain specific durations, like beginning of the day or month end or festival seasons or sports events like IPL and tournaments and so on. So during this transaction volume surge, the platform availability to be ensured without impacting the user experience. This is the high critical factor to be considered for re-architecting the platform. Next comes active application as well as infra perspective. Yes, the multi-site setup is one of the key requirement to manage in case if any of the site failure. Okay, so that the users are not affected and continue to transact in the platform. Setting up the multiple site environment feasibility not only limited to the applications layer, also obviously it's considered to be considered for the database layer to distribute the transaction across the sites. That's one of the key factor to be considered for this high already perspective. Obviously, the platform to already built on microservices architecture and this to be enabled cloud scale DB like Yugabytes. That's what we are doing with the current architecture perspective. Also, we evaluated the technology choices carefully and choose the right infrastructure cloud partner to test the architecture to certify our solutions before we roll out. This ensures that our solution is available 99.99% and able to scale for growing volumes. The last design considerations is to ensure honest transaction routing for faster response with higher availability. So these are the key factors being considered for next generation of platform architecture. Hope that I try to explain as much as possible uh, for the re-architecture, goals and needs perspective. All right. Even though our application platform is on microservices architecture, there are various other technical challenges on the database layer with the legacy database where the RDBMS database does not support pure horizontal scaling, and it's become one of the bottleneck in order to scale the platform for the next generation of the platform and volume aspect. Also, the another major challenge is that performance when it comes to high volume of the transaction, it's not that only application layer and query layer can be optimized. Obviously, down the line, the infra also has to be scalable in terms of handling the volume perspective. Okay, that's one of the key challenges in terms of monolithic database point of view. So, however, we have handled by splitting the database into multiple database logically and so on. So, but these are all completely heavy lifting when it comes, development perspective. And these are all, if distributed SQL provides out of the box as a capability, it's very easy to implement it out. Next set of challenges in the currently that we are facing is the high availability and resilience, where the legacy database, running 24/7 and 365 days is a very challenging one, and it's obviously required downtime whenever we do upgradation and patching. And second is that the DC to DR switchover, on any failure requires higher RTO and RPO, which is a major challenge to run the mission critical applications like UPI, which cannot be afforded at all. So obviously, the final goal is to have active setup when it comes to high availability. Even though application layer supports, obviously database has to scale it that level of it. The final drawback in the legacy database is the geo distribution, which is not available like comparing to distributed SQL and so on. So to overcome these challenges, we need to find the right partner who can ensure high availability and distributed SQL for easier scaling and performance benchmarks. Yugabyte as a leader Distributed SQL is our preferred partner who understands our technical requirements and are supporting us right through. So Yugabyte is a distributed cloud native database which is also supports out of the box like PostgreSQL compatibility and Cassandra compatibility capabilities. Yes, obviously Yugabyte is horizontally scalable within region or within data center or across the region or across the cloud. All the capability it comes up with that. On top of it, geographic distributions and high availabilities are ensured using distributed SQL Yugabytes. That is the reason we preferring YugabyteDB to implement as part of our next generation platform in real-time payment system perspective. Okay, coming back to proposed architecture. Yes, this architecture with the bottleneck of monolithic database moving to distributed SQL based architecture perspective, the application is going to run on active mode where our real-time payment system will run on one or two or more sites in the across the regions or zones in the cloud environment, as well as we are looking at this platform to deploy it on-prem based on the customer specific needs. And if you look at this architecture, this going to have two set of database layers. One is that for OLTP perspective, another one is for recon and settlement and dispute management perspective, which can be completely decoupled from OLTP aspects. So this OLTP and this post transaction processing perspective, we have Kafka connector where the transaction is going to flow from OLTP to OLAP database aspect for subsequent transaction processing perspective. So this is how we are looking the proposed architecture, which can scale across the sites, and the setup, the proposed solution is completely on a microservices, as well as the database layer is completely and truly scalable across the sites, and which can give a power of running the application 24/7 without any interruption comparing to the previous architectures. That's that's about it. And I hope I have covered as much as possible, and explain the reason behind to choose distributed SQL for next scale application to future to handle the future UPI transaction volumes. And thanks for the time, and have a good day.